The galaxy during the Clone Wars was a boiling cauldron of conflict, manipulation, and shifting allegiances. At its heart was a chess game of galactic proportions played by Darth Sidious, the dark puppet master orchestrating both sides of the war to achieve his ultimate goal, the rise of the Sith Empire under his rule. However, the discovery of Revan, a legendary figure from an ancient era, in cryostasis by the Jedi during this time would introduce a monumental variable that Sidious could neither have anticipated nor controlled. The ramifications of such a discovery would ripple through the galaxy, threatening to unravel the intricate web of deceit Sidious had so meticulously woven. Revan's mere presence would pose an existential challenge to Sidious's plans. Revered as both a Jedi and a Sith during his time, Revan's unparalleled mastery of the Force, coupled with his ability to understand and utilize both the light and dark sides, would make him a figure of immense interest and immense threat. For the Jedi, finding Revan would be akin to uncovering a living relic of their past, one whose perspective and knowledge could shed light on the ongoing conflict. For Sidious, Revan's existence would be an unmitigated disaster, representing an unpredictable element that could disrupt his careful manipulation of the Jedi Order, the Sith traditions, and the galaxy at large. The first challenge Sidious would face lies in Revan's potential to galvanize the Jedi Order. The Jedi of the Clone Wars era were mired in the politics of the Republic, their connection to the Force clouded by the dark side's influence. They were warriors bound by duty, not the mystics of old who delved deeply into the Force's mysteries. Revan's presence would remind the Order of their ancient roots and the principles they had strayed from. His experience with the Mandalorian Wars, the Jedi Civil War, and his unique perspective on the balance of the Force would likely inspire a reassessment of their role in the galaxy. His very existence could reignite the Jedi's fading spiritual core, challenging the status quo that Sidious relied upon to keep them blind to his machinations. Moreover, Revan's pragmatic understanding of the Force could present a philosophical challenge that disrupts the Jedi's dogmatic approach. By the Clone Wars, the Jedi had become rigid in their adherence to the light side, dismissing emotions and attachment as inherently dangerous. Revan, however, was a walking contradiction to this philosophy. His ability to harness both light and dark without succumbing fully to either would force the Jedi to confront their own limitations. Such introspection, guided by Revan's insight, could lead to a stronger, more united Order, one capable of perceiving and countering Sidious's influence far sooner than they otherwise might have. Sidious, of course, would not sit idly by while this development unfolded. His immediate priority would be to assess whether Revan posed a direct threat to his plans. Could he manipulate Revan as he had manipulated Anakin Skywalker? Could he sway the ancient warrior to his side or, at the very least, neutralize him before the Jedi could rally around him? Yet, unlike Anakin, Revan was no naive pawn. His history of defying both the Jedi and the Sith would make him a far more formidable challenge to control. Revan had seen through the manipulations of Sith Lords before, and his knowledge of their tactics would make him acutely aware of Sidious's methods. The sheer unpredictability of Revan's actions would be a nightmare for Sidious. Unlike the Jedi, who operated within a predictable moral framework, or the Sith, who adhered to a defined code of power and betrayal, Revan's decisions were governed by a unique combination of pragmatism, idealism, and personal conviction. He had turned against the Jedi Council to fight the Mandalorians, only to later rebel against the Sith Empire he helped create. This unpredictability would make him a wild card in the galactic conflict, someone Sidious could neither easily manipulate nor entirely ignore. Revan's impact on Anakin Skywalker would be another critical factor. Anakin, already torn between his loyalty to the Jedi and his fear of losing Padme, would find in Revan a figure who understood the complexity of his struggles. Revan's own history of love, loss, and redemption could resonate deeply with Anakin, potentially providing him with a path that neither the Jedi nor Sidious could offer. If Revan were to guide Anakin, helping him navigate the balance between his attachments and his duty, it could fundamentally alter the trajectory of the Chosen One's fate. Sidious's carefully cultivated hold over Anakin could crumble, robbing him of the apprentice he needed to secure his dominance. The political implications of Revan's discovery would also be profound. The Republic, already strained by the Clone Wars, would face an additional complication in the form of a figure whose legend was intertwined with both the Jedi and Sith. Senators and leaders might see Revan as a savior, a unifying figure who could bring clarity to the chaotic war. Others might view him as a relic of a bygone age, a potential threat to the Republic's fragile stability. These conflicting perspectives would create further divisions within the Senate, complicating Sidious's efforts to consolidate power under the guise of Chancellor Palpatine. For the Sith, Revan's reemergence would be a direct challenge to Sidious's authority. The Sith operated under the rule of two, a system designed to ensure that each generation grew stronger by the apprentice eventually overthrowing the master. Revan, however, represented an older, more complex understanding of the Sith, one that predated Darth Bane's reformation of their order. His knowledge of Sith philosophy and tactics could undermine Sidious's teachings, potentially inspiring dissent within the Sith ranks. Count Dooku, always wary of his master's ultimate intentions, might see in Revan an opportunity to challenge Sidious's supremacy. The very existence of such a powerful and experienced Sith Lord would destabilize the precarious balance Sidious maintained within his own ranks. Revan's knowledge of ancient Sith secrets and technology could also prove disastrous for Sidious. If the Jedi were to gain access to this knowledge, they could uncover new methods to counter the dark side or even destroy the Sith entirely. Conversely, if Revan decided to use this knowledge independently, he could unleash powers and artifacts that neither the Jedi nor Sidious could fully control. The potential rediscovery of the Star Forge, Rakatan technology, or other ancient Sith relics would add yet another layer of chaos to an already tumultuous galaxy. Sidious's plans relied heavily on his ability to predict and manipulate the actions of those around him. Revan's presence would disrupt this delicate balance, introducing an element of uncertainty that Sidious could not easily counter. The Sith Lord would be forced to divert resources and attention away from his grand plan to address the threat posed by Revan, weakening his position and potentially exposing his true identity to the Jedi. Even if Sidious were to attempt to eliminate Revan, such an undertaking would be fraught with risk. Revan's mastery of the Force and combat skills were unparalleled, honed through countless battles against both Jedi and Sith. Any confrontation with Revan would be a costly endeavor, one that could expose Sidious's hand and leave him vulnerable to his enemies. Moreover, the very act of targeting Revan could backfire, solidifying him as a rallying point for those opposed to Sidious's rule. Revan's rediscovery during the Clone Wars would represent the ultimate disruption to Sidious's carefully laid plans. His unique perspective on the Force, his unpredictable nature, and his ability to inspire change would challenge both the Jedi and the Sith in ways that neither could have anticipated. For Sidious, the existence of such a figure would be an insurmountable obstacle, threatening to unravel his schemes and alter the course of galactic history forever. The galaxy, poised on the brink of darkness, would suddenly find itself with a new hope, a hope embodied in a warrior who had walked the path of both light and dark and emerged stronger for it. If Anakin Skywalker and Revan were to cross paths during the Clone Wars, the result would be nothing short of extraordinary. Their dynamic would not only redefine the trajectory of the war, but also unleash an alliance of unparalleled power and strategy. These two iconic figures, bound by their unique experiences and similarities, would forge a connection that transcends the standard Jedi partnership. Like brothers in arms, Anakin and Revan would complement each other in ways that would spell disaster for the Separatists and the shadowy schemes of Darth Sidious. At their core, Anakin and Revan are two sides of the same coin. Both are prodigies of the Force, gifted with raw power and unmatched potential. They share a history of grappling with their own morality, struggling to balance duty, personal desires, and their immense capabilities. Their journeys through the light and dark sides of the Force give them a shared understanding of the complexities of power and choice. This common ground would create a bond of mutual respect and camaraderie, forging a connection that is both emotional and tactical. Anakin, already burdened by his feelings of isolation within the Jedi Order, would find in Revan an elder brother figure who understands him on a fundamental level. Revan's history of challenging the Jedi Council, his defiance of their rigid doctrines, and his eventual quest for redemption mirror many of Anakin's internal struggles. For his part, Revan would likely see echoes of his younger self in Anakin, the same fiery passion, the same unwavering loyalty to those he loves, and the same potential to shape or shatter the galaxy. This recognition would foster a sense of responsibility in Revan, driving him to guide Anakin in ways the Jedi Council had failed. Together, Anakin and Revan would form a dynamic partnership that combines raw power, tactical brilliance, and boundless determination. Anakin's aggressive combat style, fueled by his innate connection to the Force, would be tempered and enhanced by Revan's calculated approach to strategy. Revan's experience as both a Jedi general during the Mandalorian Wars and as a Dark Lord of the Sith would provide Anakin with a wealth of knowledge and insight, allowing him to refine his tactics and focus his power with greater precision. On the battlefield, the two would be an unstoppable force. Anakin's boldness and Revan's cunning would complement each other perfectly, creating a synergy that would overwhelm any opposition. Their combined efforts would carve through the Separatist forces with devastating efficiency, dismantling the Trade Federation's droid armies like a cake sliced with a finely honed blade. Separatist strongholds that had withstood the Republic's offensives for years would crumble under the weight of their combined might. Imagine the pair storming a Trade Federation command center. Anakin, lightsaber blazing, would tear through waves of battle droids with unparalleled ferocity, his movements a blur of raw energy and aggression. Meanwhile, Revan, equally adept with the blade but wielding his intellect as his greatest weapon, would outmaneuver the enemy's tactics, using the Force to manipulate the battlefield itself. Together, they would bring the fight to the heart of the Separatist leadership, dismantling their command structure with surgical precision. Their influence wouldn't be limited to the battlefield. As a pair, Anakin and Revan would inspire the Republic's forces in ways that no one else could. Clone troopers, already fiercely loyal to Anakin, would see in Revan a leader who understood their plight and valued their sacrifices. Revan's pragmatic approach to war, combined with Anakin's charisma and determination, would rally the Republic's forces, giving them a morale boost that could turn the tide of the war. The Separatists, on the other hand, would be thrown into disarray. Leaders like Newt Gunray and Wat Tambor, who thrived on fear and manipulation, would find themselves outmatched by the relentless assault of this duo. Even General Grievous, whose prowess on the battlefield had made him a symbol of terror, would struggle to contend with their combined power. The Separatists' confidence would erode as their forces were systematically dismantled, their carefully laid plans reduced to ashes. For Sidious, the alliance between Anakin and Revan would be nothing short of catastrophic. His entire strategy hinged on maintaining a balance of power between the Republic and the Separatists, using the conflict to erode the Jedi Order's strength while consolidating his own. Anakin's growing disillusionment with the Jedi was a cornerstone of Sidious's plan to turn him to the dark side. But with Revan by his side, Anakin would no longer feel isolated or misunderstood. Revan's guidance and support would provide Anakin with the stability and perspective he needed to resist Sidious's manipulations. Revan, having already experienced the seductive allure of the dark side and the devastation it wrought, would be uniquely equipped to help Anakin navigate his internal struggles. He would understand Anakin's fear of loss, his frustration with the Jedi, and his desire to protect those he loves. Rather than condemning Anakin for his emotions, as the Jedi often did, Revan would teach him to channel them constructively, helping him find balance without succumbing to the darkness. Sidious's attempts to sway Anakin would falter in the face of Revan's influence. Every seed of doubt Sidious planted would be countered by Revan's wisdom and experience. Every temptation would be met with a reminder of the consequences of falling to the dark side. The bond between Anakin and Revan would act as a shield, protecting Anakin from the very vulnerabilities Sidious sought to exploit. Even if Sidious were to attempt to eliminate Revan directly, the combined might of Revan and Anakin would be an insurmountable challenge. Sidious, a master manipulator, thrived on exploiting the weaknesses of others. But against the united front of Revan and Anakin, his schemes would falter. Revan's deep understanding of Sith tactics, combined with Anakin's raw power, would create a partnership that even Sidious would struggle to overcome. The Trade Federation, the Separatists, and even Sidious himself would find themselves outmatched by the alliance of Anakin Skywalker and Revan. Their shared history of defying expectations, their unparalleled connection to the Force, and their unbreakable bond would make them a force to be reckoned with. Together, they would reshape the galaxy, carving through the darkness with the precision of a lightsaber and the determination of two warriors who refused to be bound by fate. The galaxy would never be the same.